And once again, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for the unveiling of the newest building in our Grand Baymen Best Western community. This is a building that my team members and I have been working on over the past 6-7 months, and we're really excited to launch it officially for the very first time to all of you. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Rachel Jensen. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for ECI Development. I'm originally from New York, made my way down to Latin America in 2012. I was living in Nicaragua at that point for an internship. The internship ended up turning into a full-time position. I was coming back and forth to Belize during that time and ultimately loved Belize, the culture, the people. It's beautiful here. We have the wonderful Caribbean all around us. We have the reef and snorkeling and really fun things to do. And over my time of being here in the region, I ended up picking up a green card, a residency, ultimately in Panama, although Belize is where I call home. I'm based on Ambergris Caye. It's the largest key off of the Belize mainland. And here I've really stayed over the years because there's just such an incredible community here. Of course, it's beautiful, it's warm. So for those of you who are up north right now, I'm so sorry, but do know that the borders are open here in Belize and you're more than welcome to visit us at any point. But also with us today, we have Leslie. Leslie, why don't you give a quick introduction about yourself and how it is you ended up here in Belize?
Absolutely. Thanks, Rachel. So I'm Leslie Lawrence. I'm one of the property consultants here at ECI Development, and my journey to Belize began. I was a born and raised Texas girl, and I was one of those that came here kind of on a vacation and also a real estate investment lifestyle trip. And you go to the bars, you go to the restaurants, you talk to so many people that live here and you fall in love with this place. So I had that similar story where I went home and decided, how do I move to Belize? Packed up everything, sold a lot of things, and next thing you know, I'm living and working in Belize. It's been a great journey. The people here, like Rachel said, are just amazing. It's a really neat community. It's been interesting during the pandemic this past year to see how they pull together. And I love living and working here. So always some great events. Family and friends like to come visit, and I love to share this place with everyone.
Fantastic. And also with us today, we have Ali Rodriguez. Ali is our referral network director. Ali, why don't you give us the story of how you ended up in Belize?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So like Leslie, lots of Texas representation on this webinar, but like Leslie, I was born and raised in West Texas, ended up in San Antonio meeting my husband, and fell into the lifestyle that we all have come to experience living in North America, and we took a vacation here to Belize for 10 days. On day 8, we realized, we kind of asked ourselves, what are we doing? What are we doing in San Antonio, Texas? Why, when we could be at the beach every day? So we, similar to Leslie, we packed up our things and made the move down here. And in reality, we didn't really know what we were going to do when we got here. We just figured we would figure it out. I've gone through the residency. I am a permanent resident of Belize. I live here. I met Rachel with ECI about 1.5 years ago. I just fell in love with the company and the idea behind this adventurous souls. It really spoke to me. So here I am, happy to be on this webinar with you guys, and really look forward to sharing this opportunity with you. So awesome. With that being said, so why Belize? Why did we fall in love here? You've heard a couple of different points of view from all three of us, really. But here's some top reasons why Belize. So easy access from North America. You can get here on a plane, typically from Texas, in about 2.5 hours. There are direct flights from different points in the United States and Canada, so it makes it very, very easy to get here. English is the official language. I do know a little bit of Spanish, but moving here became very easy to acclimate and get into the community. I could talk to the fruit stand vendors. I could go into a restaurant and order food and know what I was ordering. So that makes it very easy to acclimate to the community. Something that is striking really about this specific webinar and this opportunity is that this is affordable Caribbean real estate. You guys, there's just nothing more to really say about that. If you've dreamed of living in the Caribbean or having that second home or an investment property in the Caribbean, Belize is kind of the place where you should have your eye on right now. And I know, Rachel, you mentioned something about somebody you were talking to earlier today about that.
Yes, Joe and I were talking with one of our clients earlier and really understanding how Belize popped up on his radar. And he's a big diver, has been traveling around the Caribbean, primarily diving. But what he realized is what I think a lot of people are realizing right now is that real estate in Belize is still really affordable. And he compared it to Grand Cayman. He said, I was looking at property in Grand Cayman and their prices are just ridiculous. And, you know, understandably so, these are some countries that have been around and developed as a tourism destination for a really long period of time. So there's a lot of attraction, there's a lot of interest. And as a result, real estate prices are high. So Belize, you know, it's really, we can't really compare it at this point to a Grand Cayman or Bahamas or Bermuda because it hasn't had that experience in the tourism marketplace yet. But we are definitely on the trajectory to become a country like that. And so as people are identifying Belize as a country, realizing it's on the Caribbean, especially for the divers, the snorkelers who are on here with us, Belize is an incredible place to be, especially Ambergris Caye, because we parallel the reef, but you're able to find really affordable real estate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And something you mentioned is just the options you have here, the variety of activity that is within Belize. And yes, right, we are on an island. The diving and the snorkeling is there. It's right outside of Rachel's office, actually, where she's sitting right now. You know, it's maybe a 5 to 7 minute boat ride out to the reef to get in the water, see the marine life. But also there's these Mayan temples that are just incredible. I mean, you can look at pictures of them, but actually seeing them up front, close and personal is something of a different nature. And of course, we have rainforest there on the mainland where you can zip line through the jungles and have a villa in the middle of nowhere in the jungles and hear the howler monkeys and things like that. So definitely lots of variety just minutes away. But experience in Belize. So we mentioned about people coming to Belize and the tourism on the rise. And the reason people are coming is because they're realizing how much there is to really do here. And even though, you know, on the island, it is a lot of sand and a lot of palm trees. And if you aren't really loving water activities, there's so many other options you have just a short plane ride away back to the mainland to go to these jungles and waterfalls and all these different things that you can see and experience in Belize. And I just mentioned it, you guys, tourism is incredible here, and the proximity to the North America, like I mentioned in the very beginning, it's easy for people to get here. They can spend, you know, 3 or 4 days in Belize and experience a wide variety, a wide range of activities and experiences and sights and sounds. But this island where we are located, Ambergris Caye, which Rachel mentioned, is the largest of about 300 different atolls and keys off the coast of Belize, generates 70% of all tourism revenue for the country of Belize. This island where we are, Ambergris Caye, generates 70%. People are coming for the experiences and then staying, like Leslie and Rachel and I have ended up staying. So Ambergris Caye, where is Ambergris Caye? I just mentioned that it's off the coast of Belize. It's actually closer, pretty close to Mexico. If you'll find Cancun on a map and go south, you'll run right into it. So Ambergris Caye there, and if you'll see on the location there of the Grand Baymen Gardens is on the south end of the island here on Ambergris Caye, and the town on Ambergris Caye that you'll hear us mention throughout the presentation is San Pedro. So San Pedro is the name of the town, but the actual island is called Ambergris Caye. And just so you know, we all fell in love for a different reason. Some of them were the same. It's so easy to love the people here. There is a genuine happiness and a genuine love for life that you just can't help to explore, and you can't ignore it. People are just extremely kind. They are kind people here that just want to share their happiness with you. And the cultures, the various cultures that have become really shaped Belize, are shining through the different Garifuna dancers and the different festivals and things like that that are throughout the country of Belize, but also specifically on Ambergris Caye. And one of the things that you'll notice here on the next slide is that it is a very charming and quaint island. This is a picture of what San Pedro town, downtown San Pedro town looks like. San Pedro consists of 3 streets, a front street, a middle street, and a back street. They do have names, although I'm not sure anybody really knows what those are, but they're easily identified as front, middle, and back. And we drive golf carts. So here on the island, there are a small number of full-size vehicles. And when I say full-size, I mean like Mini Coopers or something of that nature, more like compact cars of what we're used to in the States. But so we drive golf carts. I can wave at people as you pass them. We honk here, but it's friendly honking. And it's just a lot of fun. You know, you see the kids going to school with their backpacks on the golf carts. And it's just a very, like I said, it's just a community feel. It has a truly community feel here on Ambergris Caye.
It is. And I think, a lot of that has to do with the fact we are a small population. It's about 30,000 people overall that are living here on the island. It definitely swells during high season. High season is typically from December through about May, June each year, because that's when it's a little chillier in the States and up north. So we tend to get a lot of snowbirds coming down here. But it really is a wonderful community. And I know at the end of the day, that's really what has kept many of us here, is knowing that we are getting out of the US rat race or wherever your home country is, and getting out of that rat race and really living a simpler life. And it's a lot of fun. If you are planning to live here in the country, we can certainly help you and have those sort of discussions and talk about what it takes to get a golf cart or what it takes to move down here. If you're looking at it from the rental perspective, then you really have come at the right time. And the big reason that I say that is because we're just looking at what the macro trends are, what is going on in the country. Now, I'm going to suggest that you take COVID out, the last year out. The pandemic obviously has affected the industry worldwide, but we are starting to see the tourism industry start to resume and go back to a normal feel. Now, normal, of course, is relative, but we are seeing more people coming to the island, and Belize generally, the borders are open, and it is fairly easy to get into the country. But taking the last year out, what we saw is that there's been a lot of increased airlift. So more direct flights coming in from various countries, from various cities. Minneapolis, for example, had direct flights. Colorado, Denver specifically, direct flights. LAX, Houston, Ali mentioned before. Also Dallas, and then also Fort Lauderdale when Southwest is running. Miami, Atlanta, Charlotte, Newark. So there are a lot of flights coming into the country. And so that's always important when you're looking at a real estate investment, is what's going on in the country in terms of flights. Have we already maxed out the number of flights that can come in? Is there still opportunity for more? Are there more potentials for directs? In addition to that, tourism numbers. So for about 12, 14 years at least, we've seen the tourism numbers continue to increase every year. Obviously, 2020 was a bit of a flop around the world, but I would expect that to be continuing over the years. Personally, I believe it'll be about another 1.5 to 2 years before tourism really resumes to what it was previously. But what that means for all of you on the line is it's a great time to be looking at real estate. So as tourism is starting to resume and continue on, then you'll be able to enter the market at a great time. So I do applaud all of you for being on here as well. And then, of course, looking at the trend is the hotel brands. So when you're looking at an area that's up and coming, look to see what hotel brands are there already. We, as ECI Development, we're working with the Marriott on a Marriott Residences and Resort here on Ambergris Caye. In addition to that, we are the Best Western. So last March, we announced that our Grand Baymen property would be under the Best Western brand, which we're really excited about. There's a Hilton down south. There's an Autograph collection that's opening in the next couple of months. There's a Wyndham going up north. And so the brands, think about this, the hotel brands and the airlines spend a lot of time and money and energy and resources examining new markets and understanding the viability of their product in that marketplace. So all you really have to do is hold on to their coattail there and kind of follow along and look for the opportunities, because they're doing the hard work for you. And if you're looking for an investment property, I really want to highlight this investment curve here, because depending on what your ultimate goals are will depend where it is that you buy within the region. To take a step back, I think many of you have been following us for a while. We are ECI Development. We're a regional development company that's based throughout Latin America. We have properties in Belize, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Panama. We're looking at more property in Mexico next month, also looking to acquire vineyard estate property in either Mendoza, Argentina, or Chile, and then more tropical highland property in Ecuador. And what we realize is not everybody is looking for the same thing. While Allie, Leslie, and I are here sitting on a beach in the Caribbean, not everybody is looking for that. But also where it is that you decide to look will pretty much be dependent on what you want your ultimate goals to be. And if you're looking at products that are already mature in the rental market space, you're probably looking in places like Pacific Costa Rica. Think Guanacaste. That area has been developed over the past 20, 25 years as a tourism mecca. But as a result, real estate prices there tend to be more expensive. Now, if you want to get in, you're going to pay top dollar for this beachfront property. You'll probably already have rentals booked, so you'll have that cash flow there. Now, if you're looking at countries at the bottom part of the curve, you probably are looking for countries that are not as popular yet in the tourism market, but they have the opportunity to appreciate. And the reason they have the opportunity to appreciate is because they don't necessarily have as much popularity in that tourism marketplace. So when you're looking at a country like Nicaragua, for example, it's not that popular. You don't know too many people who are going down to Nicaragua for their honeymoon, but you're buying property in that country to land bank it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Now, a lot of us want the best of both worlds. So we want the property that's going to cash flow, and we also want the property that's going to appreciate. And you're really on the right webinar now if that is your ultimate goal, because Belize is truly at the sweet spot of the curve right now. When we were talking to that fellow Victor earlier, and he was saying, I'm looking at Belize because I'm looking for Caribbean real estate that is not as expensive as places like Grand Cayman. And we're seeing that. And even when we do comparisons as Bahamas versus here, we're seeing that you're having a truly incredible view with the reef right there in front of you for a fraction of the price. So you're really looking at the right market at the right time. Now, there's a ton of information about Belize. We do Belize 101 webinars, which just cover everything you need to know about Belize. We also have a comprehensive Belize handbook. If you would like us to send you a copy of that, just quickly jot down this email address here and email us webinar@ecidevelopment.com and just put Belize 101/handbook, whatever you want, the handbook or the recording, and we'll send you those links. Because of course it is important to understand the market that you're buying into, especially if you haven't had the chance to visit yet. So we're going to let me go back one more slide there. So just jot that email address down, webinar@ecidevelopment.com. That is going to be the webinar the email address that you'll use throughout the entire webinar. So just jot that down. You can always shoot us a message on it, or just shoot us a message at the Q&A section, and we'll make sure it gets answered for you. So I am really excited about this opportunity here at the Best Western. You know, I initially started coming down to Belize in 2012 when we started to build up our property called the Grand Baymen, and the Grand Baymen is now, which was branded as the Best Western. So over the last 8-9 years, I've seen this community really grow and come together and just be an incredible place to live, to spend time, to rent. And specifically, we're going to talk about the launch of a brand new building within the Best Western property here for under $100,000. And it is the Galleon building. And something that I want to note is that where we're located here, it's a couple of blocks off beach. So if you've been to Belize before, even if you haven't been to Belize before, we're located obviously on the island Ambergris Caye. And then there's that San Pedro town area that Ali mentioned before. And we are in San Pedro town technically, but we're out of the downtown area. So it takes about 4 to 5 minutes by golf cart to be in the heart of downtown, or you can take an 8 to 10 minute walk and be there in the heart of the downtown area. But within proximity to our location, we have everything here that we really need. We have the supermarket, we have a Thai restaurant right around the corner, we have local food, golf cart rentals, hardware store, a little taco stand stand down the road, fruit stands. So there's everything really right here within the location that we need to be in. And if you see there on the map as well, there's the Marriott site. That's our residences and resort. That's a different property that we're developing. But you can see they're just within close proximity to each other. It's about a 3 to 4 minute walk to go from the Best Western site to the beachfront Marriott. So I do want to mention that. And with this Best Western property, we're not trying to be a 4.5, 5-star luxury property. That's not what the Best Western model represents. What the Best Western model, who the Best Western model serves, is those middle class folks who are looking for comfortable, affordable, clean accommodations, but they don't necessarily need to be spending $300, $400, $500 a night. We have plenty of branded hotels that will meet that criteria for that traveler who wants to be in luxury in that 4.5, 5-star beachfront property, and that's great. We're going to serve them, and the Autograph down south will serve them, and the properties up north will serve those sort of renters. But there's a huge demographic that's being missed in this marketplace right now. And that really is the demographic of people who want to spend $100 to $200 a night and get quality accommodations. They want amenities there on site. They want the pool and the tennis court and the gym. And those are all considerations and all factors that we already have at the Best Western property. So personally, it's where I have a condo. I purchased it as a rental about 4 years ago and ended up going to the paint store. I'm like, yeah, that color would look good and that color would look great, and getting all this custom furniture. And then I realized I was like, this is not a rental anymore. This is where I'm going to be living. And so when I finally acknowledged that, then I moved in and I love it. But now I'm going backwards again. I'm realizing that with the Best Western partnership and being branded a Best Western, there's incredible potential in the rental market for the condo. So I'm in the process of getting the condo assessed, and they're going to be upgrading it to meet the Best Western standards. But it's been exciting to see this transition and really be able to provide a product that we simply don't have in the market right now. And Ambergris Caye, we have tons of mom and pop type places. We'll have tons of these luxury branded beachfront places, but to be able to have a Best Western and to have a brand that represents this demographic that's been missed is really going to be incredible. So right now at the Best Western, so it's the Grand Baymen is the name of our community, Grand Baymen Gardens, and then the Best Western label is on it. And so we have the Anchor, Captain, Dolphin, and Explorer buildings. Those are the 4 buildings you see outlined in dark blue. Those are already up, existing. And the owners in these 4 buildings had the choice if they wanted to put their condo in the Best Western rental program or not, since they were already up and existing. Most of them, a majority of them, decided to do so. The others are going to come and go as they please, have a lock and leave it situation. The fleet, so the one that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, that is currently under construction right now, slated to broke ground in November of last year, slated to open by October, November of 2021. And then the building that we're going to be talking about today is the Galleon building. So that is the one that's outlined in light blue there, the turquoise color. But you can also see there's the Breeze building, Jetty, Islander, and Harbor, 4 buildings outlined in gray, which are slated to be future expansions. So if you find that now is not really the right time for you, then just let us know that and we'll keep you posted with future developments. But obviously with future developments, prices become more expensive. So just bear that in mind as you are exploring. So Leslie, why don't you take us into the Best Western? And this is the big unveiling of the different condo styles that we have, and highlight to you some of the opportunities available. So you're up, Leslie.
Thanks, Rachel. Yes, we are so excited. It's been a fun, probably last week, really building up to everything. And we're already getting a lot of pre-sales and questions up front. So we're very excited about the launch tonight. But as you can see, the building already there is one of our existing buildings, and then beautiful pool. The amenities are already in place. The tennis court, the kind of a snack shop and pool bar. It's amazing. So the grounds are beautiful. They're going to really improve the garden area. So as you can see on the map, there was a beautiful garden area, and that's going to be where your balcony views are. So you can imagine looking out into that beautiful space. So let's jump right in. I hope you're as excited as I am to look at these floor plans. So the first one we have is the Windseeker, and it is the corner studio starting at $89,900. And I love the layout. Of course, king bed is a necessity. And you've got the kitchenette, the bath. It does have the washer dryer. You'll see there. Once again, the balcony. Now, I will note on the corner studios, the balcony is facing the road. That's the only one that has that, but I will note that. Starting price point again, $89.9. Interior square feet is $318. Furniture costs starting are $6,600. And you can see the closing fees. We'll touch base on that, but it's 8% of the condo price, okay? So that's the Wind Seeker. If you're looking for a streamlined, smaller studio, that's a great option for you. Next, we've got the garden studio called the Spinnaker. As you can see, this one's starting at $99.9. Interior's 349 square feet. Furniture, again, $6,600. Look over the floor plan. You'll see it's a little bit different layout. You do still have your kitchenette, the balcony, so forth. You will note on this one, no washer dryer, okay? Moving right along, the Genoa, 1 bedroom, 1 bath options. This is a great option. I think the 1 bedrooms will be popular for the rentals, starting at $119.9. You bump up to about 416 square feet. The balcony is also, again, facing that garden. It's going to be amazing. Condo, $119.9. You've got furniture, closing fees, and let's see, what can we focus on? Washer and dryer, again, in this unit. Great living area, so I love the layout of this one. All right, next, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. Main cell, starting at $209.9. Square feet, $734. Again, look at the balconies on this one. So 2 bedrooms, I will note, and we'll point out later, but they do have the connecting door, which is amazing because you can have it as, like I said, live in, but from the rental opportunity, it's gonna be great because you can block off and rent one and stay in one yourself. Okay, next. I can get technology working, there we go. The Mizzen is our 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom, starting at $299.9. Interior, 1,150 square feet. So this is a lot of room and space. Again, great options with the connecting doors. And I'm trying to see what we can focus on here. I want you to kind of walk through and envision yourself and your family and friends in this beautiful 3 bedroom, 3 bath.
Yes, and with this too, I want to point out, folks, so essentially, and we're going to show you the whole floor plan in just a couple of slides, but you'll notice it's a studio plus 2 1-bedrooms. So you have, in a sense, 2 kitchens, which is nice if you decide that you want to rent out the other 2 studios. Perhaps you want to live in one of the 1-bedrooms and then rent out the other 2. You're able to do that, but there's a lot of flexibility here in this space. And so this is a nice one, especially for those who are looking for a little bit more space, or perhaps have a condo or 2 to put in the rental program and then live in the other one. So good point to note there.
Very great point. And that leads into another point we want to note. If you are looking for a larger option, such as this one, the Schooner model, which is a 4 bedroom, 4 bath, the big note on this, there's only 1 Schooner model available. So we've seen, again, we've seen a lot of pre-sale movement, which is exciting for us, but then I'm like, wait a minute, there's so many people that want in on this opportunity. So we want you to get the unit of your choice. And if a 4 bedroom is one of those you're looking for, then be sure and let us know as soon as possible. Okay, the Schooner will feature some of it. It starts at $389.9. The interior is 1,468 square feet. Again, you'll see the layout there. So you've got the bedrooms on each side. Again, the 2 living spaces, and then you can have the connected and the walkthrough. So a lot of options. This one is, you've got so many options from a living standpoint, as well as the rental options available. So my big thing is, imagine a day out, you're with your family and friends, you're out snorkeling, and then you come back, and I want you to really envision yourself in this space. I love the renderings here. You'll see here the pictures. It's just such a calm, modern vibe. I love the layout of this and the rendering. So I want you to really envision yourself there. And I mean, can you imagine the fun that your friends and family are gonna have? And then when you're ready to go home, guess what? It's going to be rented out because Best Western is one of the top brands, and we're so excited again to launch the Galleon. Okay, some of the highlights we're going to focus on: the turnkey convenience. Connecting doors we've discussed, so you've got the walk through between the different units. The washer dryer hookups is an option, which again is wonderful. And then the owner lockout closet, I know from a rental standpoint, and being able to come down and leave your snorkel gear and all your things here, and literally you jump on the plane, you get on your Tropic flight or Maya flight, and you come over to the island, and everything's there waiting for you to have a great time with your friends and family.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're somebody who prefers to have your own sheets and blankets, you can you put that right there in the lockout closet, or perhaps you're a diver or snorkeler and want to keep your stuff here in storage, you're able to do that as well. So those are some really great points. And something that I do want to mention as well, which is not noted here, is really the huge benefit that you have of working with a branded hotel. So Best Western is the 7th largest hotel chain in the world, and it's also the second, or I think it's the 3rd largest in North America. So they have a huge presence, and their only job is to make sure that the rooms are rented out. And that's a huge advantage for you. If you're thinking about this from the investment perspective, you want to know that you're working with a rental management company or with a brand like this that is committed to getting people staying there. That's how you make your money. Now, something I do want to mention, and I don't have it written down in the presentation, so just get your pens and paper out, is if you decide that you want to be in the Best Western rental program, there are some owner restrictions as to usage. You get 6 weeks of personal usage per year, 4 weeks during low season and 2 weeks during high season. So just so you're all aware, high season here is typically about November, December through about May. And then slow season is the reverse of that. So if you are in the investor Best Western rental program, that would be just something that you have to bear in mind. If you want to come down and be a snowbird and occupy it as often as you want, you're able to do that. If you don't want to put in any rental program, you don't have to do that as well. So there's a lot of flexibility to it, and we're more than happy to go through those certain nuances with you when we learn a little bit more about your interests. So I do want to mention within the Galleon building, it is 5 floors. In addition, there's an elevator there, and there will also be a rooftop area for owners and guests to hang out and watch the sunset. And one of my favorite things to do in this community is grab a bottle of wine and some cheese from the local wine and cheese shop up the street, and then just watch the sunset, because you do have bay views from the 4th and the 5th floor. But if you're not on the 1st, or if you're not on the 4th or 5th floor, you can always go up to the rooftop and enjoy. My specific condo looks into the gardens, and I don't have the sunset views, but I'm able to go to the rooftops and enjoy it. And so are your guests, and they'll be able to do that as well. So here's the configuration of the property. So you can see that we have the corner condos that Leslie was talking about on the right-hand side, units 100 and 101. And then when you get to 102 and 105, those are the garden studios. So you can see, going back to the corner condos for a moment, that those are road view. But once you get to the other condos, 102 to 105, those are the gardens view. You can see that the balcony faces inwards to the property. So just bear that in mind as you're weighing the pros and cons and location specifically. Now, I can tell you from the rental perspective, the first floor and the top floors tend to rent the best, especially because there is an elevator in the building. So it's easy enough to hop in the elevator and be on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors. But first floor, because of convenience, you don't need to deal with stairs or an elevator, and then those top floors for the view. And like I said, from the 4th and 5th floor, you'd have views of the sunset and the bay. But from the floors below, we can't guarantee any views, but you would still have fantastic views of the garden. So then when you get to 103 and 104, this is where you have the 1-bedroom models that we were looking at a little bit earlier. I'm going to jump up to the 2nd floor. And as you can see here on the 2nd floor, we don't have those corner condos. So instead, in the place here, we'll have vending machines and storage for linens and whatnot, a laundry room for those condos that don't have the washer dryer, and then some more lockout storage should we need it for any owners. Floor 3, we get those condos again. And so right now we do have quite a few that had pre-sold, whether it was shareholders or folks who had a first right of selection deposit. We did see a lot of folks decided to take advantage of it before the webinar. And if you are interested in that for our future developments, let us know that too, and we can tell you what that process looks like. But on the 3rd floor here, we have one corner condo left, and then in addition, 1 bedroom and a studio. The 4th floor, we have 1 studio remaining at this point. And then on the 5th floor, we have 1 corner condo remaining at this point. So even if you're not able to be on the 4th or 5th floor, please do bear in mind that you have that rooftop space there. So you are still going to get a great view from your balcony of the gardenscape and whatnot. But then from that roof, you're able to go there and watch the sunset and get some waters and get some views of the water. So I quickly put together a performa for you just based on the gardens studio. So the garden studio is the one that has the balcony facing inwards to the garden. And if anybody's interested in seeing the performas, let us know specifically for what condo you would like to see it for, and we can certainly draw that up for you. But when we were putting our performance together, what we did is looked at our past numbers and also got with the Best Western in Belize City to get an understanding of what they were seeing, because that's a really nice benefit that we have as Best Western is there's a sister hotel in Belize City. So when people are traveling for work, they'll be able to rack up those points at Best Western, come over to the island, have a little getaway, redeem those points, bring their family down perhaps. So we were able to collaborate with them and really get a good understanding of what the numbers look like. So this is for the garden studio. If we have an average daily rate of about $150 a night, and let's say we're doing 60% occupancy, when we take out all the fees and utilities and annual expenses, it brings us to about a net of 11% return on investment. Now, again, please remember, these are just numbers. These are just predictions based on what we've seen historically and based on conversations with the Best Western in the city. So it's not, none of it's guaranteed, but it is how we're expecting it to do. Now, let's say we don't meet those branded hotel scenarios. It's just, you know, we understand tourism is down a little bit, but let's say we have a 53% occupancy and we have some specials for $127 a night. Well, there you're still looking at a pretty good, after all expenses are paid, about 7.55% net return on investment. So just some things to bear in mind, and I'm not going to go line item through line item. There are, you know, a lot of different factors that go into this, but if you would like to see the pro forma for a specific condo, do let us know and we can get you those details. So let me walk through a couple of really key points here with you. If you decide that you want to own one of these suites, there are a few different ways that you can own it. And what I mean by that is we accept cryptocurrency. So we've done quite a few transactions at this point using cryptocurrency. I think Bitcoin has been the preferred one. I know Bitcoin is doing really, really well right now. And so what we have seen people do is unload some of their crypto. Like if you have Bitcoin, all it takes is 2 Bitcoin for you to have your own condo in Belize. So it's pretty neat and pretty affordable for a lot of people. So if you did not join the cryptocurrency bandwagon over the past decade, we do have financing available as well with a bank here in Belize. There are 2 different financing options. You can finance 50% or you can finance 80%. You'll see the different rates there and the different terms. If you're financing 50%, it's 4.9% interest, 5-year balloon, and a 30-year AM schedule. If you're financing 80%, so you're only putting 20% down, note that it's 6.9% interest, 5-year balloon, and 30-year AM schedule. Now, I do want to note that for foreigners to get financing in this part of the world, it tends to be very expensive to do so. And what I mean by that is interest rates typically are anywhere between 10 to 13%. And typically banks only finance up to 50%, 50% if you're a foreigner. So this is a great option for you. You're technically pre-approved as an ECI property owner with the specific bank that we work with. You still have to go through the formalities of opening up a bank account with them and going through the loan application process, but you are able to do that quite easily with us. So do note that there are options for you. At the end of the 5th-year balloon, you are able to refinance should you choose. You don't have to, but I can't guarantee the rates at that point. That is going to be up to the bank and what they decide. Now, if you're looking for a creative way to finance, I would recommend perhaps talking to your home bank that you work with in the States, maybe getting a second mortgage on your home or a line of credit, because I know interest rates right now in the States are 3-4%. You're not actually that far away from the financing rates here, but it gives you just some options too. So just something to bear in mind. In addition, we have had people pay with gold bullion before. So if you're sitting on some gold and you're looking for something to do with it, let us know and we can help you out there. And then for our Americans on the line, if you have a self-directed IRA, you can use your self-directed IRA to own the suites. Do note that if you are deciding to do that, you cannot use it personally. There's no personal gain when you're using your self-directed IRA, but it is income that'll go in towards your retirement account. So something for you to bear in mind. And then where it says during construction, so that first box that you see there on the screen, so you understand what the process looks like. If you decide that one of these suites is something you want to further look at, and perhaps you want to claim yours now, since this is the official launch of it, you can put down a refundable deposit of $999. We'll send you the reservation form. You send it back. People typically pay it with credit card. We'll send you the paperwork. We'll be issuing the paperwork for this building in the next 2 to 3 weeks. and you'll have 7 days after getting that paperwork to decide if you want to move forward or not. If you don't, then we will send you your money back. There's a 10% admin fee, but we'll send you that money back, and then just continue on. So we want you to be happy, of course, and feel comfortable with your decision. And then if you decide to move forward, then what that payment schedule looks like, it's 50% less the deposit that would be due with the paperwork, 20% when the foundation is complete, 10% when the walls are up, 10% when the roof is on, and then 10% plus the closing cost when your home is complete. So we can give you a breakdown of what months we expect that to be. We are aiming to break ground in May, June of this year. It will be about a 10 to 12 month build period, so ready by May, June of 2022. And then of course we have owner welcome gatherings. So we want you to get to know your neighbors, especially if you haven't met them before. And it's a great way for us to come together. You can be the first one to sleep in your condo, inspect it, make sure everything looks good, and then going from there. So just note that that's the process. If you have any questions about it, our team is more than happy to answer those for you. But do note that in your notes there, as we accept cryptocurrency, we do have financing with a bank here in Belize. We accept gold bullion. And if you have a self-directed IRA account as an American, you're able to do that. Now, I'm sorry if you're Canadian and you have an RRSP, that will not work. So we are not able to accept that. So I apologize about that, but just want to state it. And then we invite you to join the Grand Baymen family. As ECI Development, we have been in business for over 20 years at this point. Our first project that we purchased here on Ambergris Caye was in 1998. It was a rundown beach resort at that point, Exotic Caye Beach Resort. Last year, we finally disassembled the last building on the site. It's actually where my office is right now. We have our office stationed on that property. And we are preparing to break ground on the Marriott in location of where the old Exotic Caye Beach Resort was, and breaking ground on the Marriott later on this year. So there's just been a lot of excitement, a lot of reasons why people are deciding to own here in Belize, whether you're looking at it from that lifestyle perspective. You know, join Leslie and Allie and me on the island. We love it here. We'd be happy to show you around and welcome you to our community. Or perhaps you're just looking at this from an investment perspective, and now is really the right time to be owning and buying pre-construction, because the home will be ready just as the tourism market, I believe, is going to be rebounding. So I'd love for you to get in touch with us. Here are just some of the other team members. I do want to highlight them as well. These are our property consultants. You'll hear from them at some point, but helps to put a name to the face. And so just wanted to introduce you to some of our team members there. So again, here's that Belize 101 recording and handbook that I mentioned earlier on in the presentation. If you'd like a copy of this, do let us know. There's that email address again, webinar@ECI Development. We can gladly send you those details. And then something that I didn't have offered here on the presentation, but I think will be great for people who are looking at owning property here from an investment perspective, is we have a tourism white paper, Belize tourism white paper. So if you would like a copy of that, it covers the tourism industry here in Belize. It nails down into Ambergris Caye more specifically, but just email us webinar@ecidevelopment.com, put tourism white paper there in the header, and we will certainly get that over to you. So what we're gonna do now, I see we have about 15 minutes. What we're going to do right now is go through questions and answers. So, all right, so I'm seeing Ford is saying, can you let me know the ongoing fees, management fees, and if they vary depending on property? So I'm gonna just pull this up here. This is an example of the pro forma. Obviously, it depends what size condo you have, and these fees will obviously change a little bit. But I do wanna mention that regardless of if you're in the rental program or not, you will have homeowners association fees, and the homeowners fees I think are really quite affordable for everything that it offers. Within the homeowners fees, it varies from about $150 to about $800 a month, just depending on what size condo you have. But it includes internet, write this down because I don't have it written down in the presentation. It includes internet, cable, security from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And not that we really need security, but people do get locked out of their rooms, so they let people back in. In addition to that, it includes the upkeep of the exterior of the building and the common areas, also the elevator, for example, landscaping. It also includes usage and upkeep of the amenities. So Allie and Leslie mentioned that we have a pool and tennis court and fitness club and snack shack already on site. So owners get to use those, and so do your guests. And then in addition to that, for it includes a reserve fund. So there's a lot that's included within the HOA, but I can gladly go through that with you. Now, I know you asked though about the ongoing management fees. So right off of the top, and I do want to highlight this. So if you go to annual expenses, note that in Belize, there's an annual income, or there's income tax on rentals of 1.75%. This is withheld from the rental management company and paid on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about it. And 1.75% is the income tax for rental property that's in the nightly rental program. And then it's 3% if you have property that's in a long-term rental program. But I do imagine most of these will be nightly. There's also a credit card fee. This is up to 4%. And then the referral agent fee. Now, I really want to highlight this because based on my almost 10 years of doing work in this region in the real estate industry, what I've realized is a lot of times property consultants or realtors forget to mention this fee. And this is essentially the fee that goes to the booking agent, Expedia, Booking.com, if it's Best Western's website or whatever really brought that rental in, then that referral agent would get paid for it. And so many times I've just seen that be totally ignored, but it does have to be considered into your numbers. So when we get to the adjusted gross, it's a 70-30 split. 70% goes to the owner, 30% goes to the management company. And then from there, you have your utilities, the water, electricity. All of the homes, all the condos are individually metered. So you are only paying for the usage within your condo. And then you'll see the annual fees below that. So the trade license, that's what gives you permission to be in the rental industry. The Belize Tourism Board approves that. That's your trade license, which allows you to rent out your condo. In addition to that, there's the Homeowners Association, which we mentioned before. Insurance, you're not obligated to have insurance on the interior of your condo, but you can choose to. I think that's probably, it's not too much, but it makes sense to do so, especially if you're in a rental program. Property tax minimal, we're projecting it at about $300 a year US. Room supply is about $150 a year US based on our previous rentals. And then so when you get down to the bottom there, your net operating income is about close to $18,000. So again, this can all vary depending on what's going on in the market. But if you're looking at expenses that you would have, it's good to know what that would be, even in a worst case scenarios. What would you have to maintain the condo? So that's a great point. And I know, Leslie, you mentioned before the closing costs. So I want to make a blanket statement here. In Belize, there's an 8% title transfer. That's a government fee, 8%. And there's no way that you can get around it. I think the only way you can really get around or lower it is if you buy the property in a Belize company, and then that Belize 250 company will be charged 5%. But still, just for the sake of the numbers here, 8% is what you'll be charged. And just bear that in mind. It is a little bit higher than what we're used to as I rental property in the States. And when I was looking at the closing costs there, I was like, wow, Belize really is expensive. But the reality is you have really low ongoing fees. You have the low income tax. You have the very low property tax. And so you have these low fees. There's also, write this down because I didn't have it in the presentation either, but there's no capital gains tax in Belize. So if you decide to own one of these condos for $100,000 now, you sell it for, I don't know, let's say $150,000. In Belize, you have no capital gains on that $50,000 gain. So you'll have to talk to your accountant or your CPA in your home country and see what tax implications you have there. But just do bear in mind as you are working at the numbers. So I know, Ford, we kind of went on a rant there about numbers, but the ongoing fees will vary in terms of HOA and then utilities based on the size of apartment that you have. And then Ford is asking if we can give you the name of the Belize bank. Yeah, we can certainly do that. And the bank that will finance for you in Belize, we can certainly do that. Dale is asking about ECI stock as partial payment. Okay, so if you are a shareholder in our company, so ECI Development is a private placement company. We do accept shareholders into the organization if you are an accredited investor. So Dale, reach out to us. We do have some shareholder specials. So make sure you reach out to us as well. So Alexandria is asking for those connecting apartments that have connecting doors that lock off. For those connecting apartments that have connecting doors that lock off. So the same true for terraces. would be nice to have them open when needed and closed off when needed. I believe, Alexandria, that's the model that we're going for, to be able to have more space. So if you rented the whole floor, for example, then you can open it and have it be all open. So I'll just double check with our architect, but I know that that's what we've discussed previously. Alexander looks like he wants to email us. Alexander, if you see webinar@ecidevelopment.com, just feel free to send us a message and we can get that answer for you. All right, Narut is saying, is the Galleon in the same place as the older buildings? If so, how will Best Western decide what to rent first? That's a really great question. So I'm going to take a step back, Narut, so you can see the location of the Galleon building. So the Galleon building is G and the Dolphin building is across the way. So it is within the same Grand Baymen complex. At Grand Baymen, we have about 7 acres in total. So it is there in the same complex. And Best Western, I mean, they have it figured out now. They've been doing this for years, and it's a formula essentially that has the units on a rotating basis. So if somebody decides that they want to have the garden studio, for example, then it'll just rotate throughout. So then the next person in line would be able to go and stay there. So they figured it out. It's not something that we do manually. It's automated so that it's on a rotating basis and it's even. That's a really great question. Anthony is saying, can you repeat the amount of time an owner can use their unit throughout the year? Yeah, great question, Anthony. So as an owner, you would have 6 weeks of personal usage per year per condo. So let's say you decide that you want to go for the 2-bedroom, then technically you'd have 12 weeks. You would just have to switch over to the other condo. But how it's structured right now, it's 4 weeks during low season and 2 weeks during high season. So if you have a 2-bedroom condo and you wanted to come down for the month of July and August, well, those are your 4 weeks per month. So you're able to come down and stay here for 2 weeks, just switch over to the other condo in between. I do want to say this very openly, is that if you're looking at this from an investment perspective, there are going to be a couple of times that I would recommend you do not come visit, which is Christmas, spring break time, also Easter, and then New Year's. And that is what we call peak season here. And that's really when a bulk of the income comes in. A bulk of your income generally in Belize comes in during high season. So just bear that in mind. If you don't mind, losing out on rental income over the holidays, or you want to come down here and be a snowbird and don't really care how much you're making, then it doesn't really matter when you come, but just bear that in mind. So Anthony, just to repeat, 6 weeks total, 4 weeks during low season, 2 weeks during high season. High season is typically about November through about May. Ava is asking about what is the safety with being so close to Mexico and Guatemala. That's a really great question, Ava. And, like every country in the world, there is local crime. And, there's a great book, I think it was from Malcolm Gladwell, that really talks about crime and safety. And it's really localized. It's within certain blocks, within certain neighborhoods and communities. And generally here, I moved to Belize as a single woman. And I think for Leslie as well, something that was really important to us was that we wanted to feel comfortable on our own. When we were driving down the street, I didn't want to feel like I was unsafe or putting myself in a risky position. And so Ambergris Caye does tend to be the most safe location, I think, in all of Belize. And I say that because it's a tourist destination. And so it's not unusual to see tourists running around everywhere. And the locals understand that tourism is the bread and butter of their country. And so they're going to leave the tourists alone. And we typically, don't get people crossing into Belize from Mexico or Guatemala. There's no real reason to do so. But just generally as a country, Belize is really quite safe. Anthony is saying, do we have HOA fees if we put the unit in the rental program? Yes, Anthony, everybody pays HOA fees regardless of if it's in the rental program or not. I also do want to quickly mention, I know you said rental pool, but do note that this is not a rental pool. It's a rental program. If it's a rental pool, then what that means is all the money comes together and then it's divvied out evenly and then it becomes a security. And this is not a security. So rental income is based on how many nights your condo is rented for and what the average daily rate is. So that's why I'm glad, Narut, that you asked the question about being rented out and how it's rented out, and it's on a rotating basis. Unless specifically, Anthony, you have family coming and they say, all right, we want Anthony's condo number 301 I think 301 might have just got reserved, but I will cut a number 301 and then we'll put your family there in 301, but just as a heads up. All right, Allison said, can you explain the rental program versus the other program you mentioned, the particulars? I didn't quite understand when you said 6 weeks of use per year. Is there a program you can live in the whole year and rent out to a room to guests at the same time as well? All right, that's a really great question, Allison. So because it is a Best Western property, if you want to rent your condo out nightly, then it has to be through the Best Western rental program. And if it's through the Best Western program, that's when you have the 6 weeks of personal usage per year, because your primary motive is for it to be an investment. Now, if you want to come and go as you please, let's say you want to come down for 6 months out of the year, you can rent out the condo for the other 6 months, but it has to be long-term rentals. Long-term rentals is defined as 3 months or more. So it cannot be nightly. So if you are coming and going as you please, but you still want to rent out your condo, it has to be on the agreement and understanding that the rental has to be for 3 months or more as a long-term rental. I hope I didn't just confuse you there, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight. And then the third option is you don't rent that out at all. You live there or you come and go as you please. But I know we'd love to be able to have the best of both worlds, but it is possible if you're willing to do the longer term rentals while you're not here. Alex is asking, is there a limit on the number of units purchased? Nope, you're able to own however many you choose, Alexander, sorry about that. And then if there are multiple units owned, is there an HOA discount or management fee? Unfortunately, there's not an HOA discount. You know, something that we've realized from being in this space for over 20 years is that HOA fees are really fees that belong to the homeowners, and it costs what it costs in order to maintain the property and making sure that it's looking good. So, you know, we're not building HOA numbers to make a profit. We'll put numbers together based on what it actually costs to rent or to not to rent, numbers cost to make sure that the condo and the complex is looking good, but there wouldn't be a discount on that because of that. And if there is any extra money left over, then it goes into the reserve. So really great question there. All right, Michael's saying, is there any usage allowances between the Best Western and Marriott that will allow usage of any of the amenities? So at this point, there is not an agreement between the Best Western and the Marriott. Now we do have a tennis court over at the Best Western, so you could always get a day pass if you're staying at the Marriott. Also here in Belize, typically it's okay to go into restaurants at hotels and get a meal there and enjoy their amenities. Now I can't guarantee that's what will happen at Marriott, but it is certainly possible. Scott is saying, can we see a pro forma of a 2-bedroom? Yep, I don't have it here in the presentation, Scott, but just shoot us a message and we can get that over to you. Yeah, really great question here, Philip. Philip's saying, can you have 1 bedroom as a rental while the other bedroom is not available as a rental? And yes, you certainly can do that. You can live in one and then rent out the other one. Dean, great question. How is replacement or furnishing an appliance scheduled and paid for? So you'll see in the pro forma, we have the refurbishing fee of it's about every 5 to 7 years. So we do factor that into the pro forma. And Dean, just depending on what condo you're interested in, let us know and you'll see what that looks like. But it's about every 5 to 7 years for nightly rentals is when those refurbishments would be due. And then Joanne is saying, can I rent my unit on my own outside of the Best Western program? Only if it's long-term for 3 months or more. But Joanne, you know, if you're not living here in the country, I would not ever suggest trying to rent it out on your own. Use the Best Western rental management company. If you're doing long-term, I mean, ask our team for assistance there too, because I think the reality is Airbnb has jaded a lot of people. And especially if you're living in the location, because it's easy enough for you to drive over and make sure the guest is okay. I've seen a lot of Airbnb rentals go wrong here in the country where the people don't live here, but they'll send, you know, a message before to their renter and saying, all right, here's the code to get into the building. And then the code doesn't work, but then the owner's sleeping and the person has no idea where to go. I mean, there's just a lot that can go wrong. So I would just remember that. And I'm seeing a lot of great questions here. And I know we're a little bit, oh, wow, we're right there on the hour. So I'm going to give, just be respectful of everyone's time and just answer a couple more questions referral agent fee, what would a yearly average amount look like? That's from Lisa. Lisa, I'm going to go to the pro forma. So we take a max of 15% out for the referral agent fee. That could be, the owner could be the referral agent. Let's say you've referred clients or friends or family to the property, you can get that 15%. But you can see the referral agent fee there is about $5,000 on an annual basis. And then Jane is saying, if we wanted to stay longer than 2 weeks during season, could we rent our own condo at the Best Western rates for another 2 weeks? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Jane. Thank you for asking. So if you do want to stay longer than the 2 weeks, then you pay 30% of the rack rate as the owner. So it's still really quite affordable to do so. And if you just give me a quick moment here, I'm going to pull out my calculator and do some quick math. So here, if we say the average daily rate, as you can see on the industry standard case, is $150. So if you're paying 30% of that rack rate, it's $45 a night. So if you wanted to stay another 2 weeks, Jane, then it would be $630. So it's still more affordable to do that than to try to find another place to rent here on the island. Yes, Sean said, are there vegan restaurants or restaurants that serve vegan food options? There certainly are. I think a lot more restaurants are coming around to it, but there's a really great one here called Origin, and they just did a really, really great job. They knocked it out of the park with the vegan food. There's another place called Juice Dive. So there's definitely more here than there was historically, especially when I first started coming, but you can pretty much find a vegan meal at many of these places. Alrighty, so I'm seeing a lot of questions. If I did not get to your questions, what I'm going to ask is that you send us an email, webinar@ecidevelopment.com. You see it there at the top part. Send us your question. We'll get the answers over to you. As you can see, there's a lot of good questions that are being asked. There's a lot of detail to review, and we want to make sure that you have the chance to meet with our team members and go through those questions in greater detail. As you saw, we had a pre-launch of the building with our shareholders and our folks who had a first right of selection, and they're going really quickly, which I'm excited about. Like I told you, I live there in Grand Baymen, and I'm always excited to have neighbors come in. So with that being said, Leslie, do you have any final words for us as we part here?
No, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and I can't wait to visit with you in the next few days and select which unit you want at the Galleon building.
Awesome. Thank you. And Allie, what about you?
No, like you said, it's exciting to know that there may be some new neighbors on the horizon, and just look forward to greeting you all when you get here. So thanks for hosting this tonight, Rachel. It was a lot of great information, and just a great opportunity for either a lifestyle change or an investment. So
yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day or evening, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.